अभी सूखेगा मानिए को भी परेशान कीजिएगा ना नोटबुक को भी परेशान कीजिएगा अस्मारा को भी परेशान कीजिएगा
Set amidst the epic Himalayas, Ladakh is a rustic and heavenly beautiful travel destination. Its breathtaking scenery offers an unparalleled view of the clear and impetuous waters of the valley and the Golden Mountains. With numerous tourist attractions to discover and availability of various adventure sports like mountain climbing, trekking, and rafting on the Indus, a trip to Leh and Ladakh is always exhilarating and experience for travelers. We have two esteemed guests with me today, Mr. Tsewang Namgail and Mr. Tarique Afaque. My friend Rakhi will introduce our guest to you. Rakhi is Integrating Marketing Manager with Outlook Publishing India. Over to you, Rakhi.
Hi, good evening, our viewers. Today we are going to discuss on Ladakh, Leh Ladakh tourism, and we have two wonderful people, those who have been doing a lot of work in tourism industry from a long time, Mr. Tarique Afaque and Mr. Tsewang Namgail. Mr. Tsewang Namgail is a Snow Leopard Conservancy India Trust Director, and Mr. Tarique Afaque is a founder at Maverick team, and he handles bike tours. So I will introduce one Mr. Tarique Afaque first. Tarique, over to you. Welcome, Tarique.
Hi everyone. Hello. My name is Tarique. I am a part of a bikers group, Royal Mavericks, and I'm a civil engineer by profession. I'm working with a German multinational. This COVID time, so there is no present project which is we are running. So everything is on hold these days. If it had not been the situation, if it had not been like this, so we would have been in Myanmar by now on our motorcycles. So this year we had plans to go to Myanmar and cross the international border on our motorcycles, but as God would want us to be home and relaxing, so that's how it is. So inshallah, we are looking forward for 2021 to be a bright year for motorcycling. Yeah.
Very nice. Welcome, Tarique. Yeah. And we'll have a wonderful conversation together on Leh Ladakh today. And we have another panelist with us today, Mr. Tsewang Namgail. He is a Snow Leopard Conservancy India Trust Director. Tsewang, we'd like to know something about your projects.
Yeah, thank you, Rakhi, and thank you, Lokesh, for giving me this opportunity to share our experiences. So yes, I'm the director of the Snow Leopard Conservancy India Trust based in Ladakh. We, as the name indicates, work towards conserving the snow leopard with local communities. And for that, we have been collaborating with local communities. And more recently, we have been working a lot in the ecotourism sector, and we have been developing the homestays program. This is the organization which had pioneered the Himalayan homestays way back in the year 2003. And there's no looking back after that. It's been really fantastic. Very unfortunately, all of us are indoors. We cannot travel much. So same goes for Ladakh also. People are, there are no tourists in Ladakh, visiting remote parts of Ladakh. So yes, I mean, that's our tourism link, but we do a lot of other activities to conserve the snow leopard, mostly resolving the conflict between snow leopards and humans through securing their livestock from snow leopards and many other predators. And we do a lot of research activities and environmental educational activities. In a nutshell, that's what we do.
Thank you, Tsewang. And
thank you very much, Tsewang.
Thanks.
And welcome, both of you. So, Tarique, to start with you, please share some, the best bikes, we can have for the Ladakh trip. We know that you are a Royal Enfield lover, let's say, if we can put it this way. But apart from, which are the best Royal Enfields and which are the other bikes also we can have? Because I have heard people going on scooty as well, but according to you, which are the best bikes? for the Ladakh tours?
See, Lokesh, primarily it's the person who is riding a motorcycle. So if
Right.
he has the just to go ahead, to go on and on, irrespective of how tough the terrain is. So the motorcycle, the two wheel has to do a very lesser part. It all depends on the person who is riding a two wheeler. So I have personally met people who have done it on a kinetic Honda. I have friends who have done it on Honda Navi. That's just an accelerated moped kind of thing. I have met people who have done it on a Bajaj Chetak, a three geared scooter, 3 or 4 gear scooter. So it's not a machine. It's not about purely about the machine. So I think आपके दिल में आपके अंदर वो जिगरा होना चाहिए करने का. Machine plays a very small role in this.
That you have to have a particular bike when you're taking a road trip, or you can just start in any bike you have. Like an example, I have one TVS bike at my home. It's like a
Uh-huh.
very old one. We have not used it,
Uh-huh.
so I don't think so
Uh-huh.
I can go on a road trip with that bike.
No, of course you can go. Of course you can go. See, there are basic things. There are a couple of things in fact. One is that you should be knowing inside out of your motorcycle.
Oh,
What first thing. Second thing is before you start, you need to have a thorough checkup of the tire grip, the chain strength, the condition of the clutch cables, your clutch plates, everything. Your tank should be clean. Your carburetor should be clean. So your all electrical wires and terminals to be checked. So we have a compulsory but free checkup whenever we go on outstation ride. We have a free but compulsory checkup. We have a collaboration with a mechanic. That mechanic is also a biker. He has been riding with us for past 10 years now.
amazing.
So he voluntarily helps because you know what happens अगर रोड पे कोई भी बाइक में ब्रेकडाउन हो गया तो उसी की परेशानी बढ़ेगी. So he happily does it before the trip for everyone who is going. So he rips off the entire motorcycle. He checks every wire because when you constantly ride it for full day, like from 6 in the morning till 6 in the evening, when you constantly ride a motorcycle, every single part, it takes a toll on itself. Like wiring है तो उसमें constantly current flow हो रहा है सुबह से शाम तक तो wires may get heated up. So every single part is important, be it wiring, be it carburetor, be it tire, be it chain, be it your cables, clutch cable, accelerator cable, be it your spark plug, be it your fuel tank. We also check the fuel tank if there is a kachra or anything because you cannot empty a fuel tank on a road and clean your tank. So these are the precautions we take. And again, I will say a motorcycle or a two-wheeler has to do a little part. It's more about the person. But yes, you should be knowing about your motorcycle or a two-wheeler, whichever you ride. And every motorcycle can do a road trip. Yes, right from if you say like your TVS Apache, I think it would be Apache, what I can guess. So right from Apache, you can go to a Suzuki DR or BMW GS or Prime Tiger. So the range is endless. There are motorcycles which are like 80 lakh rupees. So वो भी खारदुंगला करेगी, आपकी TVS भी खारदुंगला करेगी. बस ये कि आपके अंदर कितना जज्बा है. That's all what matters actually.
But Tarique, as a bike traveler, what do you do for the environment?
We have been very particular about the conservation of environment as a biker, though we have an understanding that we are somehow unnecessarily creating air pollution. We have this understanding, yes. But yes, थोड़ी सी लंबी हो जाएगी बात, but I'll take the liberty because I want to also communicate to other biker friends as well. So we never had a backup truck. So it's just 1 year back we bought a backup truck for the group rides. So before that we used to carry dustbin bags with us. So wherever we stop, we generally used to avoid disposables, plastic disposables on chip wrappers. और कहीं अगर रुके हैं, कुछ खा रहे हैं या कोई ब्रेक डाउन हो गया है, पंक्चर हो गया है या बस चाय पीने के लिए रुके हैं या नींद आ रही है तो रुके हैं, तो वहाँ आसपास हम लोग अगर कुछ कचरा बिखरा हुआ होता था, so we used to carry it and fill it in the bag and carry it along with us because we have a lot of space in our motorcycles. Plus, especially when we enter the mountains where the footfall is slightly less, रोड पे लोग कम होते हैं, सिर्फ लोकल लोग होते हैं, ये सब. तो वहाँ पे I personally had an argument with a lot of members who have joined newly to the group rides. They are throwing water bottles here or maybe the chips packet there. So we ensure that we don't leave a footprint behind. Whatever we take, we carry it back with us. Now we have a pickup truck Isuzu V-Cross, with us. So we did it very perfectly. Last time we did a trial run. We did Spiti, and what we did is पहाड़ों पे high altitude पे प्यास बहुत ज़्यादा लगती है, and one needs to be hydrated throughout. So we took an oath that we will not buy packaged water. We will not buy water bottles, single-use plastic. We bought a very big built-in thermos with us, and wherever we used to stop at night, we used to fill it up for the next morning, for the next day. It was good 50 liters of water capacity, and wherever we stopped, the entire group used to refill their steel bottles. So we have completely cut down the use of single-use plastic water bottles wherever we go.
Very nice.
Amazing,
Wow.
amazing. You reminded me one trip we took last year to Dirang, where 7 cars started from Guwahati airport for the destination. And I was our entire team was totally rigid that we are not going to consume the one-use plastic bottles. So we made sure that we fill the bottles in the car, and we put a big bottle with a pump, and we had instructed
Wow, nice.
everyone that you have to carry your bottle. Everyone carried their bottle, and then they filled and used. And the whole way we
Great.
managed like that. And I think
Even
this is
during
a
this,
suggestion. Yeah.
and even this during migrant thing, our group did a lot of work. So
Wow.
many people recommended that we should be distributing water bottles. So what we did is we picked up those pumps and 20-liter water bottles, and we used to refill their bottles every time. That's it.
Nice.
That's the
So we
reasonable
never
thing to do,
invested.
actually.
Yeah, exactly. As much as we can reduce single-use plastic, we must think about it.
Right.
Yeah, that's very important.
Yes. Tsewang, since you have been working a lot on the conservation projects in Leh Ladakh, so we wanted to know one of your or any project that you want to quote, and just tell our viewers how conservation is also important for the environment, and how we as outsider of Leh Ladakh can contribute in such things.
Yes, Raki. So I think I'll just stick to the homestays. I mean, as I said, that we have several other programs that are going on, but I'll talk mostly about the homestays. So as I said, the homestays were first started by the Leopard Conservancy India Trust in the year 2003, mostly to leverage tourism for wildlife conservation. And so it's been working really wonderful, and it's in fact is one of the best wildlife conservation models in the country. After putting this program in place, the people who used to go up in the mountains killing wolf pups and retaliatory killing snow leopards when they got inside livestock pens, today the same people are trying to attract the animals, including snow leopard, close to their villages. So that's a huge change in shift in attitude, people's attitude over a period of 15 years. So that has been really
Wow, that's
heartening.
commendable, Tsewang. That's commendable.
Yeah, that has been very heartening to see that. And yeah, it's been really a game changer. After that, people are really happy now because they are getting income generation opportunities. Unfortunately, because of the COVID this year, there are no visitors to these villages. But I hope that the COVID gets over soon, and then these people will have more visitors. So yes, conservation is very important. The wildlife, the environmental conservation from all perspectives. Be it tourism. So as I said, that we have several other programs. So we do a lot of educational activities, conducting workshops. So what the homestays has done, for example, is it has taken away that wall between snow leopards and humans. Actually, before the homestays were put in place, people wanted the snow leopards as away from them as possible. Today, as I said, they really don't mind having the snow leopards close to their villages because that's the income generation opportunity for them. Because the Snow Leopard Conservancy really helped in putting in place an ecotourism program around the snow leopard, and it's been working really fantastic. And so at least now people are more receptive to ideas. They are more amenable. So we take this opportunity to really tell them about not just the economic importance of the snow leopard, but also the instrumental and intrinsic value and ecological importance of the snow leopard, which is very important. As you probably know that if the snow leopard is taken out of the system, then the population of all the mountain sheep and goats will explode, and that will lead to overgrazing on the mountain slopes, and we have been seeing more and more rainfall. And so with a little bit of rain, all these mountain slopes get washed down, and then there's flood in the village, and the entire villages get flooded. And so, yes, it has been very good. That's the importance of the snow leopard in the ecology, in maintaining the ecological integrity of this region. So we have been educating the local people, and they're, as I said, they are very receptive to ideas, and they are coming forward themselves, like, to taking initiatives to conserve the snow leopard and the environment. Of course, with the ecotourism, okay, now it's becoming a bit longish, but I would like to mention about the water bottle, the plastic water bottle that Tarique just talked about. That's been a big major problem in Ladakh. I think
Yes.
a few years ago there was a statistic that Leh itself produces, there are some 30,000 empty plastic bottles per day. So
I read that article. Yes.
yeah, that's a huge challenge here because we don't have any management mechanism in place. So all of that just end up in we don't have proper landfills. Also, it just spoils the landscape. So we have been helping these women in the remote villages, to serve boiled and filtered water instead of, and refilling tourist bottles instead of selling plastic bottled waters. So that's been another initiative that we have taken. It's been wonderful in reducing the plastic litter in these mountains, Rocky.
So
Great,
currently,
great.
basically, there is no disposal system that is being followed there, or there is a structure being worked out.
No, there's no recycling. We have it a place close to Leh, a place called Baumgard, where all the litters, everything, all the garbage produced by the Leh town goes there, and it's not a proper landfill. It just kind of discarded there. They're dumped there, and there's no management. And of course, I mean, the plastic over a period of time it breaks down and gets it leaches in the ground, and it contaminates the drinking water also. So no, there hasn't been any recycling system in place. No proper management of these kind of plastic litter and garbage. So we have been facing a huge problem regarding this, and Tarique will watch for that. It's been a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Correct. Tsewang, how you work towards the coexistence of the local people with this elusive predator, the snow leopard?
Sorry, Lokesh, your voice were cutting a bit. Can you repeat that?
So I was asking how you work towards coexistence of local people and the
Okay.
elusive with the snow leopard actually.
Uh, yes. Okay. So the one way I already told you, first. So now getting a little bit deeper into that, the Snow Leopard Conservancy India Trust came into existence mostly in a response to the growing conflict between snow leopards and humans. And snow leopard is quite notorious for getting inside livestock pens and killing a lot of sheep and goats in a single night. Sometimes a family loses up to 60, 70 sheep and goats in a single night. And that's a huge blow to a family which is entirely dependent on livestock as a source of livelihood. So yes, we have been mitigating that conflict, and by providing, they put these their sheep and goats in very simple structures, livestock corrals, which are often designed to keep the livestock inside but not the predators out. So it's very easy for the snow leopard to jump in such a small structure. And Tarique would would know that Ladakh is a treeless area, as many parts of Ladakh, there are no trees, so local people don't have resources to cover the roof of these structures, these livestock pens, so they just leave it open. And we have been helping them in securing their livestock by covering the roof of these livestock pens with the wire mesh, and then strengthening the doors and door frames, and that resolved almost 95% of the livestock depredation inside the livestock corrals. 5% because sometimes people don't listen to our instructions very clearly, and they leave a small hole between the wire mesh and the stone wall. And the snow leopard has a very light body. Once its head is inside, it just squeezes through and it kills. So yes, I mean that's been the major problem. And when you talk about threats to snow leopards in Ladakh, the single most important threat to the snow leopards in Ladakh has been retaliatory killing or revenge killing by these angry farmers because of loss of livestock. And so that was a major achievement. Currently we have some 210 livestock pens all across Ladakh, and there has been a major respite for the local communities. And so that was a good way of really winning their hearts, towards snow leopard conservation. It's very difficult to get people support to conserve a species, which is a major threat to their livelihood, and understandably so. And I myself, I have come from a very small village. I was born and brought up in a very small village called Skirbuch, and I myself, as a child, I used to tend sheep and goats on the weekends, and I had lost livestock, and I can immediately identify with their pains, when they lose livestock. So that comes from my experience. And yeah, it's been really a hard journey, to reach to this stage, this juncture, when many local communities, local people are really coming forward to conserve the snow leopard because of all these things. Yeah, so these are the two flagship programs that we have, the way to promote, foster coexistence between snow leopards and humans, Lokesh.
Okay.
Very nice, Sevang, and it's really interesting to know such things. So I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot
Yeah.
of people, a lot of people will understand the value and how in Leh Ladakh it is being managed. And apart from a snow leopard, there are other predators also that, as in, is being looked after or being a challenging ones for you.
Yes, of course. There are other predators like the Tibetan wolf, and we have the lynx, the Eurasian lynx, which is another wildcat. And then when you talk about among the larger ones, there's the brown bear, which is not which is an omnivore actually. That has been creating a lot of problems in Zanskar, in the Kargil district. Actually, people who have visited Ladakh, brown bear mostly occurs in the Kargil district, and it has been creating a lot of problems visiting villages, and not only killing sheep and goats and livestock, but actually raiding ration stores of these people in very remote villages with very limited food supplies. And yeah, so that has been another major issue that currently we are trying to deal with. By people have tried different ways of mitigating that conflict. Currently, we are working on a bear-proof canister, an improvised bear-proof canister, which can actually help local people store their food, which they get from very far away places. And so that's one. And wolf is, of course, another major predator, especially in the eastern part of Ladakh. A lot of depredation by wolves, but currently there is no conservation effort to conserve the wolf. So yeah, there are other predators also in Ladakh. So it's really, we have a very fantastic assemblage of predators as well as prey species, ungulates, and all these herbivore species. Yeah.
Yeah, every mountain has stories. So,
Yes, of course.
so Tariq, we just wanted to, we were really curious about the planning on a trip. So, if somebody is planning a trip to Ladakh, so backpackers are
Hmm.
welcome there, or one has to be like a total planned person to, book the hotel and everything and then travel to Ladakh.
That many people do that way also. Rakhi, but before I answer your question, I have some specific questions for Tsewang because just because of this particular seminar, my
Yeah,
curiosity has increased in snow leopards. So if you
right.
guys allow me, if you guys allow me, I can ask Tsewang.
Absolutely.
So
Yes,
Tsewang,
yes,
I've been seeing
you.
a lot of groups going in winters to Spiti and Leh
Yeah.
to spot the snow leopard. So, what is so exciting about snow leopard? One thing. Second, my second question is why particularly a snow leopard caught your attention? There are so many species which are in trouble, which are being endangered or killed, and why particularly snow leopard is something you are working on. So, there are two different
Yeah.
questions I'm asking. So, you can pick anyone to answer, and or you can answer both of them.
Yeah, so first, I think I'll answer the first question. Yeah, so a lot of people are coming to see the snow leopards. First it
Uh-huh.
has started in Ladakh. As I said, that after the homestays, there was a really great possibility of bringing people and letting them stay with local people. And obviously, when they go to
Mm-hmm.
very remote villages, they want to do something in those villages, maybe go on a short trek, or if they are a wildlife buffs, wildlife enthusiasts, they
Mm-hmm.
want to see
Mm-hmm.
some wild animals. So we saw that as a perfect opportunity to really promote the snow leopard tourism. And so yeah, it is working perfectly now. So a lot of people are coming to see Ladakh, experience the culture, and then they see the snow leopard also, or the other way around. So like, they come to see the
So,
snow leopard and
is
they're
it a
not.
unique? So is it a unique thing or animal like which is not found in other parts of the world? Snow
Of
leopard.
course, I mean, well, I mean, it is found in 12 South and Central Asian countries, including
Countries.
India,
Uh-huh.
Pakistan,
Acha,
Afghanistan,
acha.
Nepal, all these countries. But Ladakh is quite special. Actually, it's
Mm-hmm.
touted as the snow leopard capital of the world. Actually, when you talk about the snow leopard population, then there are, the estimated population in India is about 700 individuals, and of that 700
Mm-hmm.
individual that from of that population, 60% occurs in Ladakh. 60% of the population of that the snow leopards are in Ladakh. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, I mean the chances of seeing a snow leopard is good in Ladakh, and we have been
Okay.
developing a couple of places in
I
Ladakh.
also heard. I have also heard like people the whole night they're standing still or laying down in snow. They go with a lot of preparations and they keep still for hours and hours, maybe for 6 hours, 8 hours,
Yeah.
just to catch a sight.
Yes, Tariq, it's not for the faint-hearted. It's a really tough job. And it's thanks to
Yeah.
all
Yes.
these
Yes.
youth who have really developed good skills of finding, spotting the snow leopard. I remember my time when I was doing my research for my PhD and masters in Ladakh for the master's project in the year 2000. 10, 15 years ago, people spent months together in certain areas and they didn't see a snow leopard. And these days, you come for a week, 10 days, and you see a snow leopard, sometimes very close
Uh-huh.
sightings. And so it's really, so the frequency of sighting is going up. And yeah, it's a hard job, even for
Yes. Pretty tough. Yeah.
the tourists, they have to kind of deal with all this extremely sub-zero temperatures and snowfall.
Mm-hmm.
Is very cold. So that's the answer to the first question. And the second question, how I got interested in snow leopard. That's a long story. So cut it short. I just keep it short. See,
Mm-hmm.
I told you that I was born and brought up in a small village, and I used to tend sheep and goats on the weekends. And once I had gone up with my uncle to tend, to herd the sheep and goats up in the mountains, and we lost some five or six. I don't remember. I think six sheep and goats, and that included one of my favorite goats. We used to call that goat Carmo, and she was really like, she used to give a lot of milk, so she was one of the favorite goats, and we lost her, and I was very scared. After that, I had held a lot of negative emotions, anger towards the snow leopard, because that was a really bad experience. And so I held that experience, that anger for a really long time, until I got an opportunity to, go to the college and to understand, study these animals, including snow leopard and many other species in the mountains. And slowly, I started reading about them, and I tried to understand them. I got an opportunity to do some research on the snow leopard and its prey species. And then I realized, there was nothing. Actually, basically, it was also, the snow leopard was also trying to eke out a living from the same scarce resources, same unyielding environment as us. So it was nothing. We shouldn't really feel bad about that. So slowly my attitude also softened over the years, and then I was doing a research on a mountain sheep called the Tibetan Argali in the Hemis National Park in the year 2000. And one day I was making a vegetation map of that area, and then I got an opportunity to see two snow leopards up close, really at a distance of some 15 meters, and I really got hooked after that. Such a beautiful creatures. Although I'd heard about people seeing them in the mountains and all, but I had never gotten an opportunity to get so up close. So that was a game changer. I completely fell in love with the animals, and then slowly, that's how I got into this business of conserving the snow leopard in its mountain ecosystem.
Amazing story, Tsewang, amazing story.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So,
Thank you so much,
Tariq.
Sevan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tariq, back to
It was
you.
really,
Basically, we are still waiting your
it is
answer.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm
Be a
coming to that.
fast
I was just
thinker,
like
or we
kind
should
of,
be a planner?
see, in my opinion, the travel, especially to mountains where high altitude is involved, one has to be very, very careful. I know the youth in today's scenario. I'll also quote an example. Uh, we were at Sarchu in the morning. It was a tough night. There were around like 13 motorcycles with us, 30 members with us, and in the morning we were just packing up things. I'm pretty quick in packing up my motorcycle, so I was just relaxing, having a cup of tea, enjoying the beauty. I literally saw people driving their motorcycles for kilometers and kilometers, and luckily we had Shahzad with us. We had a lot of backup spares. So Shahzad, I looked at him, and we immediately decided to help them. So I've seen people who came on the trip with a rented motorcycle without a spare clutch cable, without a spare spark plug, and they were stuck. Like, if had we not been there, I don't know कहाँ तक उनको धक्का लेके मोटरसाइकिल लेके जानी पड़ती. So youth in today's time, they are little impatient, I guess. So they think Google is everything, and yes, there is a lot of information available on Google. But yes, whenever anybody is planning a trip to higher altitudes, please plan it well. Please know the route well. Please know the checkpost, because your entry to the inner line permit, your entry is very, very important. That government of India and your people should know where you are and where your motorcycle toppled over a cliff and where to hunt for your body. So everyone should be knowing your whereabouts. So you should not miss a checkpost. It's an offense. So be very careful. Uh, I have seen a lot of foreigner trekkers in those areas, especially in Mustang. I've seen a lot of foreigner families. So it is open for backpackers as well. But yes, even for backpacking or trekking, you must do a planning, because you can take care of your survival or anything. But when it comes to high altitude, oxygen altitude sickness is something you just can't deal it with Google. You have to be really, really prepared for it, and maybe a frostbite if you are doing it in winters. So we have had an encounter like that on Such Pass last year. That's a very scary night. I have spent on just at the top of the Such Pass the whole night. I have spent there. So, and yes, we travel with almost everything, with oxygen cylinders, with Shehzad and all the backup spares, a lot of backup fuel, a lot of backup routes we plan. Plus, we also talk and meet a lot of bikers, senior bikers who have done the route before. So we take their experience. We take their help in where to stay, what is the best place to stay, and even with the stays, we don't opt for fancy hotels. We prefer to opt in a low-profile cottage that way. So yes, if you plan it, you might explore it in a more beautiful way, in a much better way, on a much lesser cost, I would say, and plus you will come out with a better memories, I guess. And most importantly, there is nothing beyond your own life. So attitude is something, one should be very serious about it. It's not a joke. There is a very thin line between bravery and mistake. So many bikers have died. Tsewang must be knowing in Ladakh, and a very close friend of mine. I think 2 years back, his motorcycle got punctured, and he somehow then took in consideration the kind of altitude he's in. So he started pushing his punctured motorcycle, and his lungs collapsed, and he died on the spot. The army found his body after 2 days. So that's how it is.
I also have some
proper planning. Yes. So it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place. It's a lovely place. But yes, don't make altitude as your casual friend. Take him as a serious friend.
Right.
Yes, the only advantage is that Ladakhi, the people in villages, remote villages, are very friendly. Sometimes they go out of their way to really help you. I remember once we had gone to the Nubra Valley, and we had a flat tire, and we needed to load the bike in it, in the back of it, a military truck, and then gone some 30-40 kilometers, then the middle of the night. So yeah, I mean, it's the good thing is that if there are villages, then you can really get good shelters in these remote villages. So that's the only advantage. But I totally agree. That you have to be really prepared, and you need to have a good lung to good lungs to to get up to the mountains.
Tarique, in relation to the same communication, the Sagar is asking how much risk is involved on a road trip.
Sagar, this is a very wide question, a wide spectrum question. If you are talking about the risk involved, so one is the kind of vehicle you are in. If it's a four-wheeler, risk is slightly lesser, but yes, the fun is also lesser. If you're on a motorcycle, risk is high, fun is also extremely high. So I'm not very sure what kind of risk you are specifically looking for the answer here, but yes, what all small tips and bits I can understand from your question, I'll try to answer it for you. It's a very diverse terrain. You will find snow, you will find slush. If you're lucky, you will also find black ice. You will find gravel, you will find sand. So if you are taking a motorcycle trip, so I'll strongly recommend that in whichever area you are in India, so you must try your hand at good practice of a couple of months of off-roading. Because once you know your motorcycle, how to handle it, how to balance it under difficult road conditions, then you can do it very well. I would also recommend you to load up your bike with a LC and some luggage or some bricks at the back, because motorcycle, they behave very differently when there is a luggage at the back. It acts very differently. So you should also practice that. Plus, like I said, I don't know, you were there with us since the starting. You must be knowing inside out of your motorcycle, at least the basics. Your motorcycle should be absolutely serviced, and every single part, be it wiring, be it clutch cable, accelerator cable, your battery, your terminals, your tank, they should be cleaned and thoroughly checked before taking a long distance trip. And again, coming to risk, you should be knowing the territory at least virtually much better than while taking the actual trip ahead. So your plan should start at least 6 months before. Try to catch hold of people, talk to them. There are so many bloggers online available who have done the trip. So talk to them, try to take their time, ask them questions. Be a little mentally prepared what is coming ahead. Don't be surprised with just like blank over there. So I hope I have answered your question to a maximum extent. But yes, again, I'll repeat one important line. It's safe it's safe in a car. It's like you are watching a movie. But if you are on a motorcycle, it looks like you are the star in the movie. You are the hero.
Right.
You're part of it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tsewang,
I think Rashi can
next
correct it
question to
very well.
you.
Mhm.
So Bharat is asking about the great spiritual importance of Ladakh as per Hinduism and Buddhism.
Oh, great spiritual values, and of course, yes, I mean there are a lot of spirituality in the air, but oftentimes, I make a joke of it. People say, "Oh, there's spiritualism in the air. There's this and that." So I often tell them, "Oh, I think it's the lack of oxygen that that is there." But yes, so I mean, there are a lot of monasteries all across Ladakh, and sometimes I'll tell you about the Zanskar Valley. It's a beautiful, like, very mystic valley, I would say. There's this monastery called the Phuktal Monastery, and it's like, in the middle of nowhere, in a perched on a high cliff. It's a beautiful monastery, and so yeah, people go there and find solace and meditate. It's so quiet and calm, and yeah, sometimes you get some very helpful gurus, or some monks who would help you in kind of explore your inner being. That's something that there are a lot of people, uh, they I think they should, I mean, they should come actually, not for that, more and more. But I think till now, actually, there are not that many people coming to explore their inner self, like, to look inwards. It's mostly, you know high octane extreme sports and adventures and all. But Ladakh, on the other hand, is really good for spiritualism also, in these monasteries. And there is a Vipassana courses also in Ladakh. I think, I don't know if people know, a lot of people come. And I think maybe in tandem with the low oxygen, it works magic, maybe. So yes, I think there are a lot of spiritual possibilities of exploring spiritualism in that sense.
Absolutely. Actually, connecting to that same thing, Sevang, lot of people travel to Ladakh also for photography. So there are wildlife photographers. There are many bloggers that they travel to Leh Ladakh. So any tips that you have, especially for the wildlife photography, because our team has also been there in February last year, which I remember. And
Yeah.
because of Fulmama, they had to close down everything, and then they had to stay. They were stuck there for a week almost, and then some local village helped them to come out, and then they came. So there were a lot of challenges for a photographer in that particular zone. So what tips and suggestions you have for a wildlife photographer if somebody is planning a trip in Leh Ladakh?
Of course, Raki. Yeah, I mean, the Ladakh is a paradise for photographers. Also, you basically just stand anywhere and just click in any direction, and you get a beautiful picture. Actually, I mean, that's what I got my pictures when I was doing my research. I used to click a lot of pictures. These days, I don't get that much of an opportunity. But obviously, yes. Uh, so I think the season is very important. I've been with photographers, and they have to sit sometimes, in frigid environment, sub-zero temperatures for hours together, and it's very hard. If you come in the months of September, September is still okay, but October, November, it's very cold. So I think if you want to do outdoor photography, then I think the best season would be April to April. We're still a bit colder, but May and June and July, there are rainy days, so that you might not get a very good opportunity. So yeah, these are the season is very important, especially because you have to sit outside for long, and it can be very cold, and especially if you're coming for the for photography in the winter, snow leopard or any wildlife photography in the winter, then you have to be very prepared, because as I said, that is not for the faint-hearted. You have to be outdoors for long hours. And yes, I think rest. I would like to request all the photographers that, especially when you are coming to photograph rare animals like snow leopard and many other species, I think it's very important to maintain a distance. I have seen a lot of photographers coming with a lot of enthusiasm to get a really good photograph, and they tend to get very close to animals like snow leopard. And snow leopard is not that it's not a very kind of sensitive species as such, because sometimes you get very close, but but there are some species, which has a greater flight distance, and so I think even if they don't move away, you shouldn't get very close, and with brown bears, photography of brown bears and animals like that, you have to be very cautious. There was an incident some 20 years ago when a tourist was ripped apart, because he was taking for a picture photograph, and he placed himself unwittingly between the cubs and the mother, and obviously he didn't know, but mother took that as a threat, and he just came and attacked. So the brown bear can be very dangerous, so you have to be mindful of the uh, the behavior of the animals also. Yeah, so these are some from the wildlife perspective. These are the things that they need to keep in mind.
There's a local help to such cases, as in if one is planning to visit for wildlife photography, one can contact somebody, forest department or anybody for the checklist or something like that. Or you guys also
I'm
take care.
not sure. I'm not sure if there is any particular group of people, or is it? I'm sure that there might be some both, but I don't know of any. I cannot
Sure,
think of
sure.
anything right away. But I'm sure there would be travel agents who are uh, who
Travel
take people for
agents,
photography. And but the
yes.
wildlife department, I don't think they don't conduct tours like that. We do sometimes, but very if only people who are really interested and who are very sensitive towards all these issues. And then sometimes if one of our staff is free, then we can go. Uh, to photograph some animals, but otherwise, I mean, I'm sure there might be people who are conducting tours.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So basically, as you are saying, for photography, from April to June is a good period of time, right?
Yes, May and June would be the best months actually. April still tends to be cold. I mean, depending on how much you want to rough out, But the May and June are the best months. It's very pleasant weather.
Okay.
And then
Tariq,
September is also good. September,
uh,
when
right.
there are more sunny days and the temperature is quite pleasant.
So Tariq, which are the best months for the biking in Leh and Ladakh?
Uh, See, it's such a beautiful place. You can get your solace like in almost every month if you are there. But if you're traveling, say from Delhi or from northern India, so that particular terrain it gets locked down because of heavy snowfall, heavy snow because it's all just the Himalayan range of the area. So the route generally gets closed down during the early winters, but it opens up again say in May, most probably in May and June. So it's just 4 months or maybe 3 months the entire route is blocked because of the snow. But yes, army works on it and it opens up for the public. And the rest of the entire year, any given month you go, Lokesh, one can find its own nirvana there. In any month you go. So for me, it's like I've been there in June, yes, I guess. And similar to those places, yes, I've been covering in other months as well. But yes, there is something about mountains, especially Ladakh. I've seen photographs from other motorcyclists or other photography enthusiast people or trackers from be it May, September, July, January, those who were already there before the road got blocked. So every month has a different charm there. Every month has a different charm.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
just, है ना? So
Yes.
it's so beautiful. You are in your own solace there. So I think just once this road blockage is clear, the just the early end of winters and early start of winters, once this roadblock is clear, I think every single day is worth seeing the beauty of Leh and Ladakh.
Yes. Yes.
Saki.
Uh, Tsewang or Tariq, if you can answer this question. Preeti is asking,
Uh-huh.
what are the symptoms of the high altitude sickness? How long does it take to get acclimatized in Ladakh?
I think let Tsewang answer this and I'll add it up.
Uh,
Yes.
yeah, so I never had an issue, but generally,
We
You
can
can never have an
understand.
issue. You are from there. You can never have an
Only
issue.
the people from
Tsewang.
the
People
People
like
like
me,
me.
people like me, Sevang, you have been with me on a road trip, and you know
yes,
that
yes,
on a
yeah,
mountain, what condition usually I
yeah.
get into.
Yeah, that would be a lie actually. Even sometimes, like we after staying in the plains for 3 4 months, when I come up here and I immediately exert and go out and walk around, then I sometimes get headache also. So it's not Ladakhis are not spared there also. If so, yeah, acclimatization is really important. So the official recommendation is 2 days. You have to take a complete rest 2 days, especially like if you are going on treks and all that which can be very exerting, then I think you need to take a proper rest for a couple of days in the beginning. And the symptoms are the headache obviously, and nausea and shortness of breath, of course. That's I mean that's for us also, like as I said. So these are some of the most the common signs of altitude sickness, and you shouldn't really take this seriously. I mean, I have seen so many people, like taking it lightly and then really having a major issue later. And so at the first signs, especially when you are trekking, when you are high up on passes, you need to come down immediately. Otherwise you can there have been cases of brain hemorrhage and things like that. Low pressure can do a lot of damage at very high altitude. So these are the common signs, Lokesh: headache, nausea, and a shortness of breath. So with as if you like have a severe headache, then you need to every 50 meters makes a lot of difference. Like when it comes to
Yeah.
dealing with altitude sickness, immediately it just goes away. You are perfectly okay. There's nothing when you come down, so you shouldn't take that lightly. So yeah, these are so.
Correct.
Then there are a lot of cerebral edema, haze, and HEP, and all these things. I won't go into those medical technical details, but those are more serious ones. But I had friends who had brain hemorrhage actually, because they took it lightly.
Right.
I would
And
also
Tariq,
I would add
yes,
to Sevang thing because I don't have lungs like Sevang, but yes, I have faced it firsthand at many places. So my advice would be first is like dehydration is very important. You have to keep your body very hydrated. You have to carry a water bottle. Keep drinking even if you are not thirsty. Keep drinking a lot of water as much as you can. Secondly, there are some tablets like Diamox you can
Mm.
carry, but yes, you need to go to the washroom very often if you take a Diamox. Most importantly, whenever you are on pass, you might see a lot of people taking photographs and enjoying a lot of time there on the passes. Passes means actually the top of a mountain. The
Yeah.
top. This is called pass. Like Rotang Pass, Kunzum Pass, that way. Tanglangla Pass, that way. So when you are at pass, you take necessary selfie or photograph whatever you can and just leave the pass as soon as you can. Don't stay at the top of the pass. And there have been chances like I remember the incidents of Baralachla Pass. I was there and I was perfectly fine. But a couple of years later, one of my friend went and he he had symptoms of AMS. So it's not that his lungs was weak or my lungs are strong. It's just that depending on the winds, the oxygen level of the altitudes they vary. It's not that once you are done Bara Lachla or Panglangla Pass, you can do it every year. It's not that. So the content of oxygen in the air it varies. So drink a lot of water. Don't stay on the pass, and in any condition, be it a puncture or an accident, or if your friend fall or your friend's motorcycle fall down, never ever run. Never ever run on those altitudes. Even if you see your friend's motorcycle, it's just toppled off, it has fallen down. You park your motorcycle very aram se. You put a side stand. Don't put a main stand. You walk comfortably towards him, even if his leg is under the silencer and it's burning. You walk towards him very slowly. Lift the motorcycle up with a couple of friends. Don't try to they said, don't be a Gama in the land of Lama. So don't be a He-Man. Try to be a He-Man there. Call help. Don't lift the motorcycle alone, because if your lungs are got exerted, then you are in a deep trouble. Lokesh.
Right. Right. So that is the one case. Secondly, being on bike, what kind of medicine we should keep with us?
The most popular medicine is Diamox. I think 80% of the people they use it. But for me, and I have of late realized that I don't know how far it be true. I might be sounding a little absurd, but your Diamox is here. If you think you are okay, then you are okay.
Good.
I have taken Diamox like 9 years back. I have taken Diamox 8-9 years back during Leh, and after that I have been to so many high altitudes. I have never taken Diamox again.
Right. So this is the next question from Shivalika. This is again from both of you. Ladakh is one of the most beautiful places, and now after concerning our to Uting, how do you see the tourism be booming there after COVID?
Tariq?
Is this for me or this for you, Raki?
It's for you.
Oh, it's for me. I'm so sorry. I was waiting for your answer. See, being honest, लद्दाख का जो रूट है वो अब पहले जैसे नहीं रहा. It is very comfortable, very smooth. Everywhere you will find black tarmac. It's very, very nicely connected with the entire northern India. But yes, with this tunnel coming up, the travel time has been decreased drastically. The Jozila Pass wala tunnel I'm talking about. There's a lot of backlog which has happened inside people. There's a lot of backlog. There is a lot of pile up which has happened, like people like me or maybe people like you, Shivalika. So I think the moment, because we have been talking to our biker friends on and off, so they all are saying कि अभी breakfast side वगैरह छोड़ो और सीधा आप ले मारते हैं COVID खत्म होती. So it was the exact word. So I think after COVID there will be a very high surge in the tourism, at least for 6-8 months. एंड उसके बाद जो लोग थोड़े से सेंसिटिव हैं या डरे हुए हैं उसके बाद वो लोग आ जाएंगे तो इट इज गोइंग टू लाइक गो अप इन नियर फ्यूचर वंस द कोविड इज ओवर.
Right. And Sagar is again asking, how fit should I be for a Ladakh trip?
Sagar, as far as I can see your DP, you are fit enough to be in Ladakh. So just keep a regular, just see, for not only Ladakh, for any higher altitude, your lungs should be fit and you should be mentally prepared to deal with the challenges. So I would say keep running, do some jogging, keep a walk, and if you're not into exercise like me, then before every long distance trip, if you're doing on a motorcycle, you should start running 1 month before.
That helps.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
that helps.
Great. One of your memorable trip from Ladakh?
So Tsewang is already from the Ladakh, so we can ask this question from Tarique, and Tsewang can
And then Tsewang can
add
add
something
on.
into that.
So Raki, is it specific about Ladakh? Because every trip has got a special memory for me.
Any memorable trip you can share with us.
Let's talk about mountains here.
Yeah, mountains.
So I'm a mountain person, so I'll be talking only about mountains. So my most memorable trip is to Mustang, which is the Nepal-China border. It's pretty far off, and it is the world's most deadliest road. and I have a very high fascination for off-roading. We halted at Kushma on the way, so we desperately needed to get a haircut done. So रात में शाम में हम लोग ऐसे मार्केट में निकले डिनर वगैरह के लिए, and we got a haircut done, and we made few friends there. So next morning they asked what time you are leaving. So we said we'll be leaving around 6 in the morning. So couple of them, they came to a hotel in the morning, and they actually came to request us not to go to Mustang, and they said, okay, why don't you go to Kathmandu? It's a beautiful place, and there is no road in Mustang. People often die while going, and many people, they don't make out alive to Mustang. They don't come back. So don't go to Mustang. And then I still remember that smile on my face and that pride feeling in my heart that भाई साहब मस्टैंग में जाने के लिए ही, मस्टैंग में मोटरसाइकिल चलाने के लिए ही दिल्ली से मोटरसाइकिल चला के यहाँ तक आए हैं. So you will be surprised to know we checked out Kathmandu. I have never been to Kathmandu on my motorcycle. So but we did Mustang. So हम Mustang करने ही गए थे, and it's the deadliest road. So that's a very, very fond memory. Or I remember there's a very famous temple in the lower Mustang, which is Muktinath. It's a very big Buddhist temple, and I was just sitting there at the helipad, just in my own, because when I go to mountains, I take out some time on my own, and I sit and I just think about life and everything, and I somehow get all the answers in mountains, and it kind of refreshes or restart my mental system. So I was just sitting there. Suddenly, I saw a bench which was there for the tourists to sit, and us bench pe there is a quote written which I still remember, and I have a photograph. I might show it sometime. So it's a beautiful quote which is written there. There is nothing in entire world like Mustang, and I still feel that's so true. That's so true.
Right.
There's nothing so beautiful as Mustang.
Tarique, we already know that you have founded Royal Mavericks, right? Tell us the story behind it.
Yeah.
How did you start it? What was the passion behind it? And what is the current status of the group?
I told you, Lokesh, okay, don't get me started on Royal Mavericks, otherwise I'll go on and on and on for the whole night.
No, we want you to go on and on.
So what happened is, Lokesh, I have been very, very machine friendly guy. The machine used to fascinate me a lot since my childhood. I used to ride my motorcycle जब मेरे पैर भी नहीं पहुंचते थे उस पे. I was so young, like a kid. So I started riding motorcycle, and eventually I started joining groups. I started riding in groups. So wherever I used to go, I am a bit of by the book person, like do's and don'ts and SOPs wala person, and I try to implement it in my life as much as I can. So there is no gray in my life. It's either black or white. So I saw people, they are riding in a group. Some are riding at 100. Some are leaving some people behind. I still remember there was one new guy who has joined the group. There's somebody else's group. His motorcycle got punctured, and the host, he said कि आप ठीक करा के आओ और आप हमें catch up कर लेना. And it has left me a thought कि आप लोग already 100 पे जा रहे हो. ये पंक्चर ठीक कराएगा, इसको 2 घंटे लगेंगे. पंक्चर ढूंढने में इसको 1 घंटा लगेगा. पंक्चर वाला ढूंढने में इसको 1 घंटा लगेगा. ये आपको कैसे कैचअप कर लेगा? So I thought कि नहीं, I should stay back with him. Me and couple of my friends stay back, और फिर इस तरह चीजें होती गई, and group बढ़ता चला गया. And one of our ride asked the road, they accidentally found us on road, and they stopped their OB van and they started interviewing us. So they said कि आपके ग्रुप का नाम क्या है? Then I said कि भाई हमारा तो कोई ग्रुप ही नहीं है, कोई नाम ही नहीं है, we are just friends and riding. So the anchor said कि you must have a group name. So we thought, and that's how Royal Mavericks name came into existence. Now we are the only group pan India which has the very strict norms. Like if your silencer is aftermarket, we don't allow such motorcycles जिनका बाहर का local silencer होता है. No fancy number plate is allowed on any of our group motorcycle rides. The rear view mirrors are compulsory for our motorcycle rides. Very selective helmets are approved for our motorcycle rides. Like it should be EC dot or Snell or ISI approved minimum. So that's how it is. And on most of our rides, knee guard, elbow guard is very compulsory. And we are the only group who sends motorcycles back at 4 in the morning. So we don't think twice, be it my own brother, be it my own friend. And I have lost so many friends because of these norms. If there is a norm, it is a norm for everyone, be it my friend or your friend. So if it is not conforming to the group protocol, he has to leave. He has to go. And it's been around 8, 9, 10 years. I don't even remember. And I'm so proud to share. It has grown leaps and bounds. We have international chapters. We have a chapter in Royal Mavericks UK. We have chapter Royal Mavericks Poland. We have a chapter in Namibia. We have a chapter in Australia. And somehow we have a very clear vision about certain things. And we were never into like Royal Mavericks Chennai, Royal Mavericks Pune. We have always aimed it internationally, and we have so many biker friends, foreigner biker friends, who come to India. We make their stay arrangements, we make their route itinerary plans and everything. So it's a good feeling, Lokesh, and you must have active our pages and how people participate and how much they love each other. I find it's so intimidating that people have found their bestest of friends during the motorcycle ride. So I have found so many good friends. I found more than a family just because of these motorcycles. So this group, it means a lot to me, and it's like my own baby. So and everybody in the group, they have a role. Like Shahzad, I told you he has a role. We have a lot of friends like Vinayak. He's the sweet. He's the last motorcycle. It's a very big responsibility, and there are certain marshals now who are pretty good in handling their motorcycles. So now everything is on autopilot. So whenever we start, I don't have to tell anything to anyone. Marshals know what they have to do, where they have to locate the petrol pump, where they have to block the traffic, everything. So things are on autopilot now. We don't plan much now. We don't discuss much, and things just happen like that.
Correct. Tsewang, tell us something about your favorite trip in Ladakh and something about Snow Leopard Trust. Because as Tarique has his baby Royal Maverick, yours baby is Snow Leopard Conservancy Trust. So tell us something about that.
Yes, Lokesh. So sorry, I had a bit of a network issue here.
No
So
problem.
yes, I have so many of the unforgettable trips that I had over the years. I have had over the years. One particular trip that comes to mind quite often is that a trip that we took long ago in the year 2000 to a very remote village in the Zanskar Valley. It's called the Yashun and Marshun villages. And now I heard that these villages moved to a new place, a new site, a place very close to Sarchu. In fact, yeah. So that was a beautiful trip, very adventurous. I would say at that time, because we walked for some 15 days to get there, walking over the frozen Zanskar River and the the Tsarap River. Further up from the Padum, the headquarters of Zanskar. So that was really a beautiful trip. That was the first camera trapping of the of the snow leopard in the Himalayas. Actually, first camera trapping. So it was a absolutely fantastic experience, which I really cannot forget. To get there and then spending a month there with those people, absolutely out of this world people, like so warm and forthcoming and so wonderful people, like so that was a beautiful trip. On the way back, in fact, we crossed the Morangla because one day my friend, a British friend, he just realized that he has just 1 week to catch a flight from Leh, and it took 15 days for us to get to that place, walking like really long hours, grueling walk in very deep snow, sometimes the knee deep snow. And so now what to do? It's very difficult to get there, and we consulted the villagers, and they said that the only way that you can get to Leh from there was it was by crossing the Morangla, and that was many people suggested not to take that route, but ultimately there was no other choice, although it was very dangerous in March. At the pass of the Morangla, the snow would was up till the neck. We couldn't walk. We would simply get embedded in the snow, and we didn't have any snowshoe or anything, so we would literally roll down to cross that stretch, on that pass. And so yeah, that was really adventurous, a little bit kind of stupid also looking back, but at that time it was a beautiful trip. The first camera trapping trip, snow leopard camera trapping in incidents in the Himalayas actually. So there was a beautiful trip. The other event that I would like to tell is that the sighting those two snow leopard that I told you earlier, it was a beautiful sighting again. The first sighting at such a close distance. One day I was in the Hemis National Park and I was making this vegetation map and I was scanning all the slopes, and suddenly I saw the silhouettes of two animals sitting on a ridge line. First, I just ignored them, thinking that there were two wolves that were roaming around in that place for a few days. But on a second thought, when I turned my spotting scope towards on the animals, put the scope on the animals, there were two snow leopards sitting there. So yeah, just walked up, really ran up actually, hoping against hope, to catch a glimpse before they disappear. And I got there. There were these stony structures, some cairns. I was just hiding behind them because after climbing some distance, I just realized that they had gone. But when I got up there, there were these stony structures. When I came out of the last stony structure, they were just there at some 15 meters from me, and I was scared, seeing two snow leopards first time at such a distance. I was shaking a bit also. I didn't know whether to run for my life or take a picture. I was holding a dilapidated camera at the time. I was a student, so very broken camera, so I was shaking. And although I knew that snow leopards are not that uh, dangerous, there's not a single incidence of any fatal attack on humans anywhere, but still, I was still scared. I just stood my ground there, and by the time a couple of other friends caught up with me, and after some time, one of the snow leopards went to the valley to the right, and the other one went to the left, and we could still see the one that went to the left and that just stood at a distance of some 50 meters away from us. And by the time my friends also caught up and we saw the animal through the spotting scope, I mean, although it was close, but still you could really see the hairs, the details. And yeah, it was in the evening. It was getting a bit dark. It was drizzling a bit, but we could still see things clearly. But then there it went. It just disappeared in the just there and there itself. There were no rocks, no bushes, nothing. It just disappeared, blended with the landscape, and no wonder it's called the gray ghost of the mountains, the ghost of the mountains. So that's the height of camouflage. It's beautiful. This beautiful creature can appear and disappear at will. So that's the beauty of the snow leopard. And yeah, so regarding the organization, I told you a little bit, and as I said that ever since I got hooked, and then I've been really working to better the habitat, the snow leopard themselves, and the prey species. I have been studying a lot of other species, because the snow leopard doesn't live in a vacuum. It is dependent on so many other species, and the whole system needs to be intact. If we were to conserve the snow leopard, then we have to think about all these other systems. So we have been doing a lot of research on the prey species, the Himalayan marmots, the Asiatic ibex, Ladakh curial, Tibetan argali, blue sheep, all these animals, fantastic animals. We have been doing research and have a research background, and I try my best to continue doing research, although there are a lot of administrative work now, heading the organization. There are a lot of things that I have to think about other than the research. Yes, Lokesh, so in a nutshell, those are a couple of things that I was itching to share. This beautiful incidences that I had up in the mountains, and I think it's a beautiful creature. If you get close to one, it's the most beautiful thing in the world, actually.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Tsewang, because just because of you, I also could understand so much about snow leopard. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes.
Right.
My pleasure. And we can talk more, and there are a lot of other interesting stories.
Yes, 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 yes.
No, I
Yeah,
am,
and
I agree with you, and we
है ना?
definitely look forward to seeing it in the near future. Before Raki can ask Tariq a very important question, I would, take a audience question, from you, Sevan. So
uh-huh.
basically, Laksha is asking, with the recent tension in Ladakh, will the ITBP now allow riders to access ILP areas in near future? Like, I am not sure how do pronounce it.
Chusul and
Chunshul,
Matsmikla. Chusul
right.
and Matsmikla.
Chushul
Yeah,
and Marsikmala.
I I don't know, Lokesh. It really would depend on the seriousness of the current. I don't know how this will. Looking at the way it is going currently, I don't know. It's very concerning, actually, disconcerting, to say the least. So I don't know. Maybe some of those very the places right next to the border, like which I remember. I have really fond memories of those places. Of Chumor and all those places. You drive for hours and you don't see a single soul. It's just you are in the wilderness and it's beautiful, So I don't know whether they would, the tourists would be allowed to go to those places in the immediate future, because this might continue for some time. I don't know, given the current circumstances. But in the long run, if the situation normalizes, then I'm sure they would be able to visit those places also, and really amazing places.
For ILP, I like to add, tourism department is working on the new structure, so it will be out soon. We are also
Yeah.
working on a travel guide on Ladakh, so we are already working on the ILP map. So accordingly, it
Okay.
will be out on their website. So people will have the access and they can online apply it, and it will become easier for them to plan the trip on particular restricted areas.
Yeah.
I actually had a question with Tariq. You have a very big group of Maverick, as you explained that you have different chapters also. You are on mute, Tariq.
I'll
Yeah.
unmute it.
So
When I'll
my
answer it, I'll unmute it.
sure, sure. So I just wanted to know how it is comfortable since you have a bike group, and we have seen as a phenomena or as a regular thing that only guys are part of the bike group. But I could see on few of your pictures that there are few women also part of your group, and they had been taking some trips. So how comfortable for you, as a team leader becomes easy to plan, or how comfortable it becomes on the women's side also? Because if I think of taking a biker trip, means how comfortable it will be with me to be with a group of bikers, and I had to think. First of all, I also understand that I have to think like a biker and get into it. But again, how comfortable it becomes for you to manage it, and for a women to take up this and be smooth and go ahead on a road trips. Difficult one. Hmm.
I think some flight is landing. Yeah, but so Raki, the most important part is whenever we plan our trip, we have a very high number of female participation and kids and families coming in. So we always plan it keeping them in consideration as the first priority. So we always take a place to stay which is kids friendly, which is female friendly. We don't stop nearby a place which is near uh, a wine shop or something. We don't stop for lunch or tea where there are no washrooms. So we are little particular about where we stop. Also, since we have so much understanding that what are we have so many female members within the group, so they keep on adding up to the inputs, like how a female thinks and how she wants to make her stay to be, how she wants to be little protected. And I would really thank each and every single member of our group, of our team, in fact, especially Team Mavericks, that They ensure that not even a single lady or kid who has come so has any slightest degree of discomfort, be it anything. We have a very uh, how should I put it? Dude? Like we as a biker, we majority of us we tend to smoke. So, but still, if we have kid around, we don't smoke in his presence. I say we move out to some far off places like behind a shop or behind something else,
So,
and we hide it and
so
then
you
we
get
smoke that way.
kids also in the
Yes,
group, and
yes,
oh
yes.
wow,
Yes. You'll be surprised
amazing.
to know that the 15 days trip of Spiti, last trip which we have done, we had a 10-year-old kid with us
Wow.
Wow.
and
Wow.
and his mother. So we have a group member called Vidushi. She's a very senior biker. She's a moderator. So she is the one who takes care of our backup truck Isuzu V Cross with all the luggage and everything. She packs it up by herself. And her kid, he generally is hopping on one or the other motorcycle. So one day he will be on one motorcycle, on the other day he will be on another motorcycle. That way. So because she has been very instrumental in giving inputs like how a girl to be to be uh, to be made comfortable in a long distance ride. We have Yashoda. She's like a sister to me. So she has been very important. She has a very important role in making me learn how things should be when there is a female participant around. And believe me, the boldness and the bravery I've seen in women bikers, we have so many of them. It's much at par what I have in like men. They don't panic. They try to take the challenges. They are very open for the uncertainties. They don't get stressed out with this, the basic breakdowns and everything. And suppose if there's a sudden route plan change or a landslide, nothing, they are just so calm. And having a female within the group, couple of females in the group, it keeps the entire environment very decent, I would say. People in our group are very educated, very sensible, very careful, very courteous. But still, when you're out, when you're in a musty mode, so something tends to get out of hand. So, but that's what in our group, our team members they keep a very strict control of this. They even without I've not asked them to do it, but still they keep monitoring who is behaving how. Even if they're standing at a distance, even if they're standing at a distance, they will keep a watch on the lady and her surroundings that everything is cool around her that way. So I have never felt any single complaint from any of the female bikers and any of the female participants we have had, and for that matter, even kids.
Amazing. I can understand when you
Absolutely.
have a kid participant with you, so it's like one of the most friendliest group to get into and
And believe me,
take the trip.
believe me, Raki, 15 days on a motorcycle is not a joke for a kid. It
I
really takes
understand. I
the
totally understand.
uh,
Yeah.
so for
And
1 or 2 days,
I would really request you, Tariq, if you can, get Vidushi on our platform. We would definitely like to have her with us. We would like to,
she is
take her on our webinar. There
she
is
is
a
watching
comment
the
from
video.
Raman
She
also.
she is watching the video right now. And see, Raman is one of our participant, our member, and he has been
Oh
joining our
wow.
rides, our outstation rides with his kids and his wife.
Awesome.
Yeah, see,
Awesome. I have, being in this conversation, I have learned one thing that 1 hour or 1.5 hours is very short of a time to discuss
true,
the
true, true, true.
complete set of questions with you. But
Exactly.
unfortunately, we have dragged up to 1.5 hours. So I really thank both of you to be with us today and discuss with us about the Leh and Ladakh and your trips and the stories you have shared with us are amazing and inspiring at the same time. Thank you
Thank you so
very
much.
much,
Raki. Thank you
Tsewang.
so much,
Thank you
Raki.
very much, Anu.
Thank you, guys.
Rakyu, can you please conclude the session?
Yeah, thank you so much. Especially, I would thank Tariq and Sevang to be with us and give time today. And it has been a really wonderful conversation we had about. It's not about only one state we talk, and it was totally on the trips that one should plan and one should take, and the
Mhm,
responsibility. The major thing that we
mhm.
have to make sure that we never litter anywhere we are going. We have to make sure that to
Yes,
avoid
yes.
plastic. And thank you so much for being here. And I thank our viewers also for watching us. And whenever you have any question, you can drop us a message and we'll get back to you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Thank
Rakesh.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.